Welcome to Fox Valley Today. I'm your host, Anne Vickery. Joining me today from the Kendall County Health Department is Kelly Jordan-Licht. Kelly is a community public health nurse. I don't know, I'm probably saying that kind of backwards, right? Public health nurse for the Kendall County Health Department. As we fondly refer to sometimes when we have the Kendall County Health Department in, today is Scary Friday. And we always tease them over there about some of the things that we want to talk about. But I think, with summer coming on, there's issues, of course, with the too much sun exposure. But the topic we're going to cover today is cancer. And as I was talking to Kelly before we came on air was, it's hard to think about a diagnosis that would be much more frightening than, and we did think of a couple, than cancer. I mean, we thought of like ALS or Parkinson's or something like that, because so much of cancer today can be cured. Mm-hmm. With new technology and new treatments, and the fact that they're being able to do this gene mutation and sometimes make your body turn around and go to work against that tumor. It's a miracle, isn't it?
It is. It is. We've come a long way.
So in Kendall County, what do you think is the percentage of the number of people that you figure that will contract cancer?
Well, there's 4 main leading types of cancer in Illinois, and that would be prostate for men, breast cancer for women, lung cancer is number 2 for both men and women, and then colorectal cancer is the 4th for both men and women.
Is the 4th leading cause of cancer. Now, I have a question. And in fact, I asked a doctor about this, and the doctor said, well, I'm not about to debate this with you. Well, that's fine, because I thought it was fair to answer the question. Men get screened for prostate through a blood screening or a physical checkup, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Women get screened for breast cancer through mammograms. Mm-hmm. The last thing that I read about breast cancer in women, 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer. And the older you get, you kind of go up higher. Your chances get higher.
Higher risk.
And then at a certain age, it drops off. But now, and I'm just going to give you some of the things, and maybe you can help me through this. But that older women tend to get the less aggressive cancers, a less aggressive breast cancer. Do you find that to be a true statement?
I think everyone is different. Mm-hmm. Every person is different, and every person's DNA and risk factors are different for what type of cancer that they will get or could get. Obviously, family history. So if you have that gene, you're at much higher risk if you have that BRCA gene. And then diet, also your exposure to estrogens and progesterones through contraception, oral contraception. There's lots of factors that could increase your risk. Right.
And really, cancer is just a bunch of cells that are just looking around to maybe just all get together and create a problem.
Yes, and some women have fibrous dense tissue breasts, like myself.
Right.
So if you have lumpy breasts to begin with,
dense, yes,
dense, lumpy breasts, then you're at a higher risk too of having either a lump or being at risk for cancer.
What is the risk factor for men? Do you know what the percentages are there? Is that a 1 in 10 or?
Well, for prostate cancer, I can tell you for men, the percentage out of is about 22%.
22%?
About 22% of men for cancer cases in Illinois.
Okay, that's basically about the same as breast cancer for women.
Yeah, it's almost 30 for women for breast cancer.
Okay, 1 in 8. Okay, well, okay. Yeah, well, whatever. Although I would say, and prostate cancer, like breast cancer, early detection is everything.
Yes.
And isn't that one of those cancers that once it breaks out past the gland, then it can spread, right?
Yes, and we worry about it spreading to the bones and spreading to other organs.
Other organs, yeah. Now, which brings me to my next question when you talk about lung and colon rectal cancer. This became the debate with the doctor. I don't care where you go. I don't care what doctor you go to. The first thing they ask you was, when was your last colonoscopy? When was your last colonoscopy? Went to the dentist. They wanted to know about my last colonoscopy. I don't know. It must be referrals. I don't know. So anyway, and I will tell you, it's been 10 or 11 years since I had my last colonoscopy. But then you talk about lung cancer, okay? And lung cancer being the second most prevalent cancer for men and women.
Yes.
And then after that comes colon rectal. So there is this test, the scan, that you can have, what they call a lung scan. Sometimes it's given free. Sometimes it's $90. You can go in, takes 3 minutes, they scan your lung and they can pick up and take a really quick shot of your lungs to see if you have any nodules or anything that's going on in there. So for $90, you could go in, have that test, no prep, no nothing, go in, get out, and you can say. And we also, I also understood last year that I think we had like 6 cases of lung cancer that was caused by radon.
That's a big issue in Kendall County.
It is, it is. So my question to this doctor was, why does everybody worry about a colonoscopy when lung cancer is much more prevalent and much more easy to screen for? And his answer to me was, well, by the time you catch lung cancer, it's already too late.
Usually, because most people don't get screened for it, especially if you're not a smoker.
Yeah, but see, to me, I mean, what's the difference if you get screened for lung cancer or colon cancer when one is more prevalent than the other and it takes little preparation, almost $0, takes one person to do it, and it's the second leading reason for people dying of cancer. Somewhere along the line, somebody, to me, you know, I'm a troublemaker, they're missing the boat. And so colon rectal cancer, again, is one of those things that's, you know, people need to, but people avoid that. People avoid going through that test.
Yes, because
What other options do people have?
okay, well, other than a colonoscopy, which is what people don't like to have.
Hate it.
Because of the prep. They don't like the prep and having to clean their bowels and be in the bathroom all the time. And they don't like the invasiveness of it, just the idea of the camera going up into their rectum and taking pictures. You know, it scares people, and they have to be down for a full day. They're going to be sedated. So the FIT testing, which is a fecal immunoassay blood test, basically, takes a sample of your stool, looks for blood in the stool, and can detect if there's like a polyp or bleeding that's going on in the rectum. And that's much more, less invasive, less expensive, and you can do it in the privacy of your own home.
And then you send the sample in by mail. This is not the little popsicle stick test.
No,
This is one where you literally send in a full stool sample.
full sample, yeah, small. It's a small amount.
Right.
Sample that gets sent either in a tube or on a plastic card
Right,
container. Yeah, and then you get your results back in just like maybe 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. And how would people go about getting that kit from you?
They could just call our health department at 553-9100. They could ask for community health and ask to speak with a nurse. And we're really pushing getting the screen. If you're concerned about doing a colonoscopy, you can do the screen first, but it's not a replacement for a colonoscopy. And we will bill Medicare for people who have Medicare, and we will also bill some private insurances as well. And people can also pay for the kit out of pocket, and it's not very expensive.
And how much is it?
I believe it's like $25.
$25. Okay. And you know what? It could be, you could be doing the colon guard and you could still come in and buy that test and pay for it yourself and just say, you know what, I'm double checking myself before I make any decision here.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, other things could upset that test. Person could have a hemorrhoid, right?
Yes. So if you have any history in your family of colon cancer, you would not be a candidate for fit testing. Same thing if you do. If you have hemorrhoids or bleeding hemorrhoids or you have a history of ulcers, not a candidate.
Okay, so just, well, whatever it is, it's important for people to get tested. Women with those mammograms, men with that blood test, I forget what they call that test
The
for.
PSA?
The PSA, right? And to me, I still say, look in the newspapers, watch for those specials when they're offering those lung scans. I'll tell you what, I just did it. I get one about every 3 years because knowing I live in a high radon area, and I did smoke for 20 years, but I quit, 25 years ago. So that's not a risk, but they were going to make me pay for it until I said, do you know I live in Kendall County and that we have some of the highest rate, then I qualified, so they paid for it.
Nice.
So, sometimes you got to be your own advocate.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
now,
I just wanted to, since you were talking about radon, the health department also offers radon kits for $6 that you can come and pick up, and you can test your basement to see if there's an elevated radon level in your basement, since we know that radon comes from the ground and the soil, and it tends to seep into people's basements. And if you, have pets and children playing in a basement playroom, you could be you could be inadvertently exposed. Like in my own home, I don't let my children play in the basement.
do you have the tube that comes up through your house that?
I'm told I have a passive system, but an active system with the fan on it will really push it out a lot better.
Okay. So, did you test your house?
I do have a kit. I have not tested it yet,
Okay.
though.
I think I'm going to stop and buy and get one of those kits. I think it's probably a good idea to know.
It's a very good idea to know, yes.
And, I had understood that this whole thing came up through some of these homes was there was so many of these women that were getting lung cancer in Iowa, farm women who were home a lot and, lung cancer was sprouting up all over. They weren't smokers. They didn't work within their husband's line of work with a lot of chemicals but decided then and started testing in these homes, and it's really an issue.
That's the number one form of lung cancer for people who don't smoke.
Yeah.
And their pets get it too.
That's an interesting thing, isn't it? That pets, you don't think about pets getting lung cancer, but I guess that would be a tip-off to the veterinarian, huh?
Yeah.
You better test your house for radon. What are some of the risk cancers with prostate and breast, lung, and colon rectal?
Like the risk factors?
Yeah. I mean, as we talked about the 1 in 8, and I guess I should have prefaced this as, what do you think the cure rate is? You keep track of that?
I do not have any statistics on that today about the cure rates. But as far as risk factors go, some of it's genetic. Big part of it is genetic.
Right.
Lifestyle. So obesity can play a part. Diet, if you're a diabetic, if you have any kind of immunosuppressive problems.
How would diabetes play a part in cancer?
Because that does affect your immune system. It's slower to heal wounds.
Okay.
So if your immune system is already
Compromised.
it's much easier for those cells to change. The cells change and they mutate, and then they can start to grow.
You think about cancer, and I can tell you 30 years ago when a woman was diagnosed with breast cancer, it was almost a death sentence. It pretty much was, you've got cancer, there's not much you can do about it. And I do know some women who had breast cancer 30 years ago. They're very healthy. They had a radical mastectomy. It was long before the modern day kind of different types of, you might say, chemo that was targeted just for your particular type of cancer, but have made it through and have come through it. But I was with a friend about 1.5 years ago when she went into Northwestern after having a biopsy, and was with her when she was told that she had stage 1 breast cancer, and she was 73, but she had the very, very, very aggressive kind. So she underwent not only the mastectomy, but a very radical chemo treatment. But what flabbergasted me was, as I sat in that waiting room waiting for her, the dozens and dozens and dozens of women that were in that gigantic waiting room with scarves on, who obviously were there for chemo treatment, people who had to be wheeled in, people who were just so upset because they had just gotten the diagnosis. It was something that I would have to tell you that it was a life-changing experience for me, that I could really see that for myself. Wow. So it had to be a difficult thing for just to work in an area like that. You know, do you have, we all think we know some of the signs and symptoms of different types of cancer. What would you tell people as far as prostate?
For prostate cancer, since the prostate gland is part of the reproductive system and lies near the bladder, changes in urine flow for men. Mm-hmm. So difficulty going, any pain with urination, things like that.
Right.
Sometimes there's no
Right.
symptoms at all, but basically there's going to be a problem with them being able to urinate.
Okay.
Most
How often
of the
should
time.
a man get a PSA test?
I believe that's every year.
Really? Every year?
Every
I don't
year.
know that my husband's ever been tested for it. He has no risk, but he has no family history of it. Now, I will tell you something. In my family, my father died of prostate cancer because by the time, and this was 40 years ago, it was long before people knew how to test, really understood it. It had already gone to the bones by the time, but 3 out of my 4 brothers have had it. All were caught early. One went through the full surgery of having the prostate removed, which was a very difficult surgery. One had the seeding, where they did the radiation. And I forget what the other one had, but it was a little different treatment. Again, everybody has a little different deal. And the 4th brother, he is tested about every 9 months, and he is clear.
Fantastic.
So, I mean, it's just amazing, though,
Yes.
that how prevalent, when you talk about that being hereditary, it is hereditary.
It is hereditary.
There's your, it's
Yes.
like breast cancer is for a lot of women.
For a lot of women.
What
yeah.
about women and breast cancer? The obvious signs are you would find a lump. What other?
Lump. Any changes in breast tissue, like discharge coming from their breasts, inverted nipple or skin change. Sometimes they can see it or feel the lump.
Right.
And sometimes it could be things like fatigue. Some people don't know,
Right.
So
They
you
don't.
could have the dense fibrous breasts as well and not know that it's a tumor.
Right.
Just thinking it's a dense
A dense,
fibrous breast.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
it's your normal breast.
I still can't understand, out of all the tests that they've given, why mammograms have to be so incredibly painful for women. I mean, it is a...
It is. It's painful, yeah.
It's 1, 2, 3, there's 3 different views of each breast. Each one lasts about 10 seconds, and it is 10 seconds of incredible pain. And you would think that wouldn't they come up with something that could be a little bit less uncomfortable?
Yeah, it's the gold standard.
Yeah, the gold standard is listen to her scream. Okay, we're running a little bit over. We got to take a little bit of a break, and we'll be right back with Kelly from the Kendall County Health Department. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of the different types of cancer. Sorry, we don't want to be a bummer, but you got to keep you informed. We'll be right back.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Did you see anyone's broccoli? Thanks for helping us.
No problem.
Is this strawberry? You're welcome.
We'd do anything for kids. Yet 1 in 6 children in the U.S. struggle with hunger. Help end childhood hunger near you. Learn how at feedingamerica.org.
Your son wants to get a cat,
I'll really take care of it.
but you're allergic. Do you A, prepare yourself, B, make the best of it,
C squared equals
25.
or C, find a loophole? When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Well, we're back with Kelly Jordan-Licht from the Kendall County Health Department. She's a public health nurse, and we've been talking about cancer, but we have to talk about it because we got to keep you people informed. But so we talked about prostate cancer, we talked about breast cancer. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the signs and symptoms that might appear for colorectal cancer.
Okay, so number 1, changes in your stool habits. So we're looking at diarrhea, blood in your stool, could be excessive constipation, could be a variety of things. If you notice there's a change, or if you're diagnosed with IBS, irritable bowel, that could be a risk factor.
What is that? What exactly is irritable bowel? Is that?
That's when people like have spasms and they have difficulty controlling.
When they gotta go,
They gotta go, they gotta go.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that, and belly pain.
Belly
You know,
pain.
where you get those cramps. And occasionally people do get that because they've eaten something that just doesn't agree with them.
Yes.
But if it's something that is
Persistent.
persistent.
Something that,
not-
yeah.
Maybe not every day, but every 2 or 3 days you got this problem, you ought to check it out.
Yes.
You know, and you hear a lot on TV about the different treatments for irritable bowel system, but it shouldn't be dismissed that that's what you have.
That is correct.
You maybe need to look a little bit
Right, need to look a
further.
little bit deeper and get yourself checked.
Okay, so we talked about prostate, we talked about breast, colon rectal. Did we hit lung cancer, what some of the obvious signs might be?
Persistent cough.
Okay, we did talk
Yeah.
about that, yeah. Sometimes I get so many things going I can't. Okay, now you guys offer the screening for the colon rectal.
Yes.
And do you offer any screening for anything else? That's about it.
That's it for right now,
Okay.
yes.
But people can come to you to get information and talk about some of the concerns or something they might need to check into further.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
okay.
We want people to be screened, and it's not in place of a colonoscopy, but really we want people to be aware and check with their doctor and be on top of it. So
Right.
prevention is the best key for colon cancer prevention.
And you know what? I mean, I don't think, everybody wants to hear about people's colons, but I still think, for me, if I eat enough fruits and vegetables, if I get a little exercise every day, if I stay away from a high-carb diet, doesn't mean eliminating carbs is going to make you skinny, because obviously I'm no example for that. But if I lower the bread and those heavy carbs that you eat, stick with a salad every day and a couple pieces of fruit, hey, and lots of water. I drink a lot of water, get a little exercise, life is good. And, so that's kind of my testimony to a healthy colon. Okay, summer's coming on, and, we got kids that are going to be out in the sun. I think the tanning booths, for the most part, are still out there, but I think people are kind of wising up towards that, aren't they?
I hope so.
Okay.
Because those are the UV rays that are the worst.
Okay.
So we have UVA and UVB rays that come naturally from the sun into our atmosphere. And the UVA rays are the strongest ones, and those are the ones that cause the most damage to the deep layers of the skin. And that is what can cause melanoma.
All right.
And we don't want people using tanning beds because it skyrockets the risk of being exposed. They're baking themselves on the tanning bed, just totally exposing themselves to the harmful rays. And then, they go on a regular basis because it gradually changes the color of their skin from the melanin. So we definitely don't encourage that. Spray tan, much better.
Much better.
Much better. Safer.
And it's so obvious, women who spend too much time in the sun. Take one look at their face.
Prune?
Prune. Yeah, there's no other description for it. And I've had my share of sun in my life, through mowing the yard or stuff. But I've gotten so now I slather on the sunblock. I wear a hat. I wear sunglasses. I wear long sleeves. I try to put on a pair of gloves.
You're doing it right.
Yeah, but I probably waited too long. I've got the sunspots and all that. But yeah, but I understand. Girls want to look good in their bikini, and thankfully I never wore a bikini. They probably would have taken bikinis off the markets if I'd ever worn one. But you just think that kids today would kind of wise up on some of that, wouldn't you?
You would think so. You'd think there's enough information out there. But people still like the idea of having a tan.
Yeah.
Especially in this really cold region in the winter where we live, and people get really pale.
Right.
They want to be out there. They see the sun. They want to be out there in the nice warm weather.
I don't even know where people go for a spray tan.
Oh.
Where do you go?
You can go to like a tanning salon
Uh-huh.
that has the beds.
Right.
And you can get a spray tan there.
A spray tan.
You can even buy your own spray tan and do yourself at home.
Yeah, but all I can
Self-home
remember is some of
tanning.
that stuff that I would put on and I would turn orange.
They look so much better now. You can get really good quality spray tans now from the store,
And
yeah.
you just kind of, and you know what? Most of us don't expose our whole bodies out there anyway. But
Right.
if you do your arms and around here and your neck and stuff like that,
Yeah.
you can. And they even have stuff now, a bronzer for the face too, that kind of
Yes.
can kind of. I don't know if I spend that much time in the mirror. Obviously, you can tell I don't. So it's just one of those things.
But we would really encourage people to wear sunscreen and sunblock, especially a 30 SPF or higher.
Or higher.
So the higher you go, the more protection you're getting. And it's not just a one-time application. The application has to be done usually a half an hour before you go out in the sun, not while you're out there.
Uh-huh.
And you have to reapply it. The recommendation is usually every hour to an hour and a half to reapply sunscreen. I think people aren't doing that.
No.
People are putting it on, they're going swimming, they're busy, they're out there having fun, they're sweating it off.
Right.
People aren't reapplying it every
And the
hour,
thing
hour and a half.
The thing I like to see are the mothers who have these babies out on strollers, and the babies are out, in the splash pools, and they're really slathering this stuff on these babies, because there's nothing worse than a baby that gets sunburned.
With sunburn,
They're
yes.
perfect, beautiful little babies. Okay, Kelly, it's been a pleasure having you over. Hope we didn't scare you too much, but I hope we would raise your awareness on how to protect yourself against some of these awful things that you could prevent with just a little bit more prevention. Thanks for joining Fox Valley today. We'll see you next time.